Anyone who knows me knows that I love Splatoon. Specifically Salmon Run. I have almost 1,500 hours in Splatoon, and 90% of that time is exclusively spent playing Salmon Run. So naturally, I am very excited about the upcoming game Splatoon Raiders. So excited, in fact, that I needed to make this video going over all the footage and information we have so that you can also be as excited as I am. I'm only going to be looking over footage released by official channels, so like the trailers, the Nintendo Direct, the Treehouse, Japanese news channels, etc, etc. I'm not going to use anything by people that have been lucky enough to play the demo that Nintendo is refusing to put on the eShop to spite me specifically, apparently. So if there's anything I miss, I'm sorry. And if you don't know anything about Splatoon, allow me to exist as background noise whilst you multitask. But just as a quick introduction, Splatoon Raiders is a spin-off game from Splatoon, expanding on the side mode called Salmon Run, a PvE game mode where you fight these creatures called Salmonids and kill bosses to steal golden eggs so that a bear can go to space. Where Splatoon is mainly a multiplayer game with single-player elements, Raiders is going to be a single-player game with multiplayer elements. The gameplay is now looter-shooter style, with some roguelike elements where you go on raids to these salmonid-infested dens to hunt for treasure. The idol group Deep Cut is also going to be joining you on your adventure, and will be helping you out in a number of ways that I will be going over later. So, okay, good. You have pretty much everything you need to know now, so I'm just gonna get started, and it only feels right to start with the thing that I love the most about Salmon Run. I love me a freaky little guy. Of course I love the Salmonids. In the Spiralite Islands, where Raiders is set, the Salmonids are a lot more aggressive than the ones we're used to fighting, and have taken on a form that more closely represents that. Looking more like how salmon do when they're at that angry breeding age. Not only that, but for some reason, a lot of them are now covered in salt, which only makes them more angry. And if you look through gameplay clips, you'll see multiple different forms that they can take throughout the game. The more salt, the stronger they are. I wonder how far they'll take this. Like, are we gonna get to a point where they're just completely white? I'd love if they went full near on us. Feels like there's a lot of fun visuals there. In terms of gameplay though, the way they act is similar to how the Gelatons were in Side Order, which, if you don't know, was the Splatoon 3 DLC, and thinking about it, probably the Raiders tech demo. I'm so happy I live in the world where Team Chaos won the final Splat 2 fest, because this is the Chaos game. Side Order was the Order game, and this is the Chaos game. It makes me sad thinking of a world where Raiders is the DLC that doesn't live up to the hype. But anyways, all of your standard Salmonids are going to be returning, so the Small Fry, the Chum, the Quahawks. The only ones we haven't seen yet are the Snatcher and the Chinook, which I honestly doubt will be returning. But we do have some brand new ones making an appearance. We have the Tongue Chum, which are chum that carry tongues. There's the Spring Chum, which are chum with springs. They bounce around and look stupid, and I like them. There's the Spinook, which is the Salmonid equivalent of the Sprinkler enemy from Side Order. I love their stupid little cheeks. They look like those deformed goldfish that should be illegal to breed. And then we have the Sparky, your standard run at you and explode type enemy. It's so funny that this guy is made of metal, because Salmonids love dying. Like, that's part of their lore. I'm pretty sure there's plenty out there that would have been happy to blow themselves up, but I can understand why they may have opted not to have that. There are two more lesser Salmonids that aren't mentioned that you may have missed. One is a tongue variation of the Quahawk, and another one is a Quahawk that seems to throw these spiked durian-looking fruit at you. I am so proud of myself for noticing this one. It's not even on the wiki. It's so well hidden in all the chaos. It would also be really nice if we could get some variations of the Side Order enemies. This anglerfish looking one with the berries would be right at home in Raiders. We also get a sneak peek at an enemy that looks like the Goldie returning, so maybe we'll get some variation of the Night Waves, and since there's no golden eggs anymore, they'll drop rare treasures and relics and weapons and stuff. In the Nintendo Treehouse, they mentioned something called anomalies that you can encounter. This causes the Salmonids in the area to act strangely, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of differing effects that we're going to be able to get.
You know, I've seen a couple different varieties. I've seen chum, all of them are hopping the entire time. And also I've noticed sometimes with the anomaly, there might be a bonus like mini objective to do that can get you more resources and more stuff.
The only way to stop them is by destroying this red crystal, which we actually end up seeing a lot in other gameplay footage. Side Order had something very similar with the danger floors, so it's nice to see that that is kind of being integrated into Raiders as well. My theory is that these anomalies are going to create effects similar to the night waves, and this is where we're going to be encountering goldies. And if that's the case, we'll probably be seeing the return of the fog and glowflies. All of your standard bosses are also going to be returning with a couple new additions. The Salty Tongue is this big fat chud looking thing who waddles around and tries to bite you. There's the Salivator, a flying type enemy that spits bags of gas at you, which you can then use to get some verticality to your attacks. The Smoker, which is this big noodly lad that creates bubbles that protect Salmonids from damage. Similar to the Salmonid, but as opposed to the Salmonid protecting them from all damage, this just seems to reduce the amount that you can deal to them. In addition to the new bosses, some of the old ones have also been changed quite heavily, so I'm just going to look over those really quick. Firstly, and most excitingly, the flyfish has been changed, so now you can shoot it out of the air! This is the best news ever because flyfish are the worst enemies to deal with in Salmon Run. They fly around the map firing homing missiles at you. 4 of them will go to the closest player and 4 go to a random player. But what makes these flying fucks so annoying is that you can't shoot them. The only way you can deal damage to them is by throwing a bomb into one of their cannons when they're firing at you. Which they have 2 of, by the way. So either you have to charge 2 full tanks of ink yourself to deal with one, or hope another player is aiming for the second cannon. Oh, and sometimes the bombs will just fly out. They'll just fly out, they'll just fall out, they'll just do whatever. There are a few weapons that can damage them without using bombs, but those aren't always in rotation, so you're either going to be using bombs or you're going to be using your specials. And when you're already dealing with so much, to have a bunch spawn in and not be able to easily take them out, it's a nightmare. As they say in the treehouse, flyfish are run killers. But not anymore! The second major change has been made to the big shot. In Salmon Run, how it works is that when they spawn in, they will place down a cannon by the shoreline and fire a cannonball at the basket, which creates shockwaves that you then have to jump over. Other than this one attack, they're completely passive, but that's balanced out by them having the most HP out of any boss. Any further big shots that spawn will only go to that one cannon, so they're pretty easy to spawn camp and often end up being death pits for people trying to kill them. With Raiders being so fast by comparison, it just doesn't really make sense to have them behave like this anymore. So to amend this issue, they've just put springs on them. They now bounce around the map and seem to be a lot more aggressive, actually targeting you directly now and banging the ball on the ground as opposed to firing at you. Also, we got some footage showing that when you kill them, if they drop their cannonballs, it will allow you to create your own wave breaker effect instead. This is going to be so great for crowd control. I can't believe just how much the big shot is changed. It's kind of crazy. The next boss to have been changed is the fish stick. They've added this propeller onto the side of it so that you can now make the tower shorter. And initially I was like, why did they change this? The fish stick worked fine. But then I remembered the amount of times I've been climbing up a pole and a stinger fired its beam at me and it blocked my path and I fell down and I died. And then I thought, wow, this is actually a really nice change. Yay, thank you, Splatoon. The only thing I don't like about the fish stick redesign is that they don't sing anymore. Wah. The last boss to have major changes is Moors. We don't get a great look at Moors in the Direct, so it's pretty easy to miss, but on the Japanese Nintendo channel, they've been releasing shorts for each of the bosses, and that's given us a better look at the Moors redesign. In Salmon Run, Moors will relentlessly follow one player trying to eat them, and can be dealt with by throwing a bomb in its mouth. But with raiders removing bombs in favor of the gadgets, the main way of countering just straight up no longer exists. So how it's been changed is Moors is now completely muzzled, leaving it no longer able to bite you at all, so even if you did have bombs, they wouldn't do anything. When they lunge at you, they now stay out of the ground a little bit longer too, revealing their new weak spot, which is on the back. Regular Moors has so much health that it's not really worth attempting to shoot it, but now they look to be pretty easy to deal with. And lastly, it seems like they no longer one-hit kill you, which I guess makes sense with the whole, muzzle thing, and they still do a hefty chunk of damage, but they're no longer gonna end your run just by getting a good hit. Though that does make me curious what they're gonna do with other one-hit kill enemies like the Flipper Flopper and the Salmonid, because if they get you, you die. Maybe whether they can one-hit you will be dependent on difficulty settings, but for now, we just can't say for sure. A part of me is really hoping that there are more bosses hidden away somewhere. Nintendo trailers have a nasty habit of revealing everything, so there's a very high possibility that this is it. But I'm gonna hold out hope because I love all these designs and I just want to see more of them. If you look around the map, you will find these abstract designs that seem to represent boss Salmonids, and there's a couple of them that I can't actually pinpoint to any existing bosses, so maybe this is a hint of other bosses, or maybe I just can't tell what it's supposed to be. Oh my god, the seasoned Salmonids are such a good addition to the game. They're upgraded mini-boss versions of existing bosses, and for people such as myself who have played way too much Salmon Run, fighting the bosses is basically muscle memory at this point, and as fine as I would have been with just the new changes, I think after a while I'd have gotten a little bit bored, so I'm really excited to fight these tougher variants. So far, we've seen the Salty Tongue, Scrapper, Big Shot, Moors, Steelhead, Stinger, and the Steel Eel. And from what we can see, it seems like each seasoned Salmonid either gains an entirely new attack or a stronger variation of an existing one, with the Salty Tongue gaining the Killer Whale, the Big Shot hitting the ground more aggressively, the Scrapper gaining a frontal attack, the Steelhead's bomb now acts like a fizzy bomb, bouncing 3 times before exploding, and the Stinger is 3 stingers tall. Other than hitting harder and looking scarier, I can't immediately see anything different with Moors and Steel Eel, but I am going to remain optimistic that they also have something that separates them from the standard variants, because it would be really lame if they didn't. Also, literally as I'm editing this, there was a quick look at the seasoned flyfish in a TikTok ad, and holy shit. I saw someone point out that these markers don't look like the standard missiles and instead seem to look more like ink strikes. A flyfish that throws ink strikes at you. Oh no. So far, I also haven't seen more than one seasoned Salmonid spawning at a time, but I so very dearly hope that at higher difficulties, we'll be seeing multiple appear at once. Because I love chaos, I crave nonsense. The last category of Salmonids showing up in Raiders are the big super bosses, which we found out are called mythic Salmonids. So far, we've only seen glimpses of 2 of them. One of them was shown in the first trailer we got for Raiders, and it looks like a bigger version of the Salivator. When we get a look at the enemy log in the treehouse footage, it shows that this is fought pretty early on, so this is more than likely the first boss. The second one we get a look at was from the most recent trailer, and it seems to have this long snake-like body with wheels all over it. This thing looks terrifying. No idea how it's going to be fought, but I can see it acting like a Horrorboros, circling the map as you fight it, only instead of being in the air, it's got wheels. Speaking of Horrorboros, I really hope that the King Salmonids make an appearance. I can understand if they don't show up, but it feels like everyone else is returning, so I think it'd be nice if they were in the game. As for the Mythic Salmonids, I can imagine what's gonna have them stand out from the other enemies is that they'll probably have more than one attack. and their own specific arenas we fight them in. Maybe as final bosses that we encounter at the end of long dungeons, or in story-specific scenarios. If that's the case, then I hope we're still able to encounter them after fighting them in the story. It would be a little bit disappointing if they were only a one-time fight. But that's it. Those are all the enemies we know of so far. I cannot believe just how much we're going to be getting. Not to circle back to Side Order again, I'm sorry Side Order, I love bullying you, but in the nicest way, the enemy diversity was shite. The bosses in particular was such a letdown, only having 3 outside of the final 2. And even then, the bosses weren't that great, but they've really pulled out the stops here with what we've seen, and the fact that there is definitely more being hidden from us is just really nice to know. I'm so sorry, but I'm not gonna go as in-depth with looking over the weapons because I'm just not someone who really cares that much. At least not as much as a ranked player, for example. I don't know if that's like a me thing or a Salmon Runner thing. All the weapons in Salmon Run are randomized each rotation, so I've never really been someone to care all that much about the specifics of what I'm using. I still don't know the difference between the L3 and the H3. So when I'm playing a shift, I only really focus on what the weapon's role will be. Like, is it a long-range weapon? Is it for crowd control? Is it light? Is it heavy? Is it the obligatory clunky one that no one wants to use? Don't get me wrong though, I'm still really excited for the weapon system because there is just so much depth to it in this game. The Direct says there'll be over 100 weapons, and it seems like each one is going to have its own individual skill as opposed to a full kit, because, well, you can build your own kits now with the gadgets and the relics. You can also have multiple types of the same weapon and different star rankings too, so even with the sheer amount of weapons at your disposal, there's essentially an unlimited amount due to just how much you can customize them. Like, if you want to go through the game with just a bucket, then you can build yourself 50 different buckets. You really can play the game however you want. You've also got the different tanks, speed, power, and tactics, each of which has their own unique gadgets that fit different playstyles. Speed is going to be for people that want the best mobility, and I can imagine the abilities for this tank won't be all that strong, but it's going to be able to balance itself out by just how fast you're moving. In addition to the gadgets shown in the Direct, we're shown that the speed tank also gets the zip caster, which makes me wonder what other returning specials will be equipable. Next, we have the power tank, which is for people like me that like to see big number. I love the splat shit this tank gets. It's such a good gadget. I'm a little sad it's a gadget, because I was kind of hoping it'd be its own, like, Raiders exclusive weapon, but it is very similar to the Splatana in how it actually operates, so I understand why it isn't. But it being a gadget allows it to be super customizable. We also get a look at a Rainmaker type gadget, which is super cool. I really like the Rainmaker as a weapon, but it feels like we only get it in, like, the Rainmaker mode and special occasions. So I'm glad we're going to be able to have our own now and build it to be as cracked out and insane as possible. Last, we have the tactical tank, which is a more supported tank, using it to build little doodads that assist you in combat as opposed to enhancing your moveset. If specials are going to return as gadgets, I can imagine the tactical tank will get things like Tacticooler, Big Bubbler, and it would really be nice if Ink Armor could return too. We also get a look at this angle shooter-esque gadget that's made of Posca pens. It fires multiple beams, and unlike the angle shooter, actually seems to be useful. When we're shown the map, we also get to see these 3 little treasure chests on it. Each of them look to represent a different tank, so it looks like you'll be unlocking them as you progress in the game. I wonder if there'll be like an endgame ultimate tank that allows you to mix and match gadgets. Probably not, but it could be fun. Speaking of the map, a fun little detail is that you can see the Salmonids that will be in each area. Other than being super cute, this will be really nice as a visual indicator to help you when you're farming materials. Weapons now also get elemental effects. So far we've only seen ice in action, but since there's a fire island, it makes sense for us to get fire as well. Also, if we look back at the durians thrown by those hidden Cohawks, they look to be electrified, so there's a pretty high chance we'll be getting lightning too. I'm personally hoping poison from Side Order returns, because that was a really nice skill to have in that game. And since there's going to be even more enemies than Side Order, I think it would be pretty nice to have. But yeah, the weapon system is super in-depth. There's so much you can do with all your gear. You can also find relics and gadget parts so that you can upgrade everything and tinker them and change them and just make everything insane. You get to be crazy in this game. And the last real thing I'm going to touch on for combat is that Deep Cut get to join you on your raids. I don't think it's a hot take to say that Deep Cut were incredibly sidelined in Splatoon 3, and it was such a shame too because they were the idols, and yet it felt like I hardly got to know them. Their inclusion in Raiders honestly feels like one big apology for how they were treated, and honestly, good. It should. They deserve to have time in the spotlight, and it being in a whole entire game really is the best possible outcome for them. When you're at the hideout ship, they help you out with creating gadgets, upgrading your weapons, and giving you information about the enemies and relics. And as you progress through the game, it looks like you'll discover the buddy bot in the field, and once repaired, will allow you to bring a member with you on your raids. They help out with fighting Salmonids, and will provide you with a bounce pad for aerial attacks or just making a quick getaway. But the main event is their showstopper abilities. Shiver summons her big shark that will attack enemies in a front line ahead of you. Fry will summon her eels, which rain down on enemies. Every time I see this one being used in gameplay, it seems like it's pretty terrible for hitting bosses, so this one looks like it'll work best for dealing with hordes of Salmonids if you're overwhelmed. And Big Man allows you to ride on his back, giving you direct control of him whilst also creating a shield of mini manta rays protecting you from damage. In one of the menus, it also shows that you can build a bond with each of the idols. No clue what this actively affects yet, but my theory is that it will affect the amount of damage they do, and maybe even the length of the showstopper effects. Raiders is the kind of game that seems to heavily lean into making you feel overwhelmed. From the regular enemies to the bosses, they're just throwing everything at you, so I'm really glad they've made the combat system as in-depth as they have. It's very maximalist, and I truly hope it's able to keep this level of nonsense consistently challenging as you progress throughout the game. So I'm gonna look over the raids themselves now, because those are kind of the main event. And it seems like there's gonna be a couple types. There's raids where you're collecting treasure in the overworld, challenge type raids where they're a lot more like the stages you'd find in single player, and raids where you dig as deep as you can. The deepest floor we've seen so far is, I think, floor 23, and I really hope the floor cap isn't 30 like in Side Order. In the direct, they say that some of these raids can feel endless, so I'm choosing to believe that the floor cap will be higher. One of the main issues I had with Side Order was that each run felt like it was over just as you were beginning to get started. And as ridiculous as it sounds, I would love if you could go to 100 floors. If they do end up going on this long though, it would be nice if there were breaks where you could quick save or change your gear like in Monster Hunter. Just something that gives you a little reprieve from all the madness. I'm not 100% sure on how these longer raids are gonna work. Like, are they just gonna be enemy floors like we've seen, or are the challenge floors gonna show up? I think that would be a really fun way to keep things fresh if it wasn't just mowing down enemies. I know we're already getting a certain type of floor where you're just encountering one type of enemy, but I think level variety will really help keep the raids interesting. We've had a lot of footage from the overworld raids, and we can see that there's a bunch of different biomes all across the Spiralite Islands. We've got lava, tundra, beach, sea anemone. More islands unlock as you progress through the story, so no idea how big this game is going to be, but it looks like it's going to be pretty big. We also get a little sneaky peeky at some of the other stages we've not seen yet, and they look suspiciously like existing maps from Salmon Run. Like, this is the Hydro Plant, this is Sockeye Station. Maybe we'll finally get Arc Polaris back, guys. Maybe we'll be allowed to have fun again. Oh, who am I kidding? They're gonna bring back that fucking boat again, aren't they? Also, here's something I have literally just noticed as I'm editing the video, but at the end of the treehouse presentation, they get this compass item, and I knew I'd seen a compass before somewhere. Right at the start of the direct, when we're shown the map, you see these two compasses up top, and I remember thinking, what do those mean? But it looks like you'll be finding these compasses in the field, and there's a high chance they'll point you in the direction of a raid den or rare treasure. If that's the case, then I hope that the treasures you get from these compass dens, let's call them, are significantly better than the ones you would find normally, or else what's the point, I guess? Whilst I'm here, I'm also now noticing that the chests representing each tank are on more than one island, so I don't know, maybe you don't unlock all the tanks individually, maybe these represent gadgets instead. Who's to say? I could go back and re-record that entire section, but also this video has taken way longer than I wanted it to, and if it's not out before the 23rd, I am going to splat myself. Splatoon just isn't Splatoon without fashion, so of course there's gonna be a bunch of outfits that will unlock as you progress through the game. In footage from Den Famiko Gamer, we get a little look at some of the unlock conditions for other outfits. They're things like make 3 gadgets for the technical tank, clear a set amount of dungeons, upgrade the hideout. I wonder if all the outfits will only be unlocked by upgrading and completing raids, because I personally would like if there were outfits you got by killing a set amount of bosses too, similar to the golden badges that you get in Salmon Run. From the one look we got at the enemy log, it seems like the only things that will unlock by killing enemies is more information about them, but I want nice clothes, I want cosmetics, I'm a salmon runner, I need to be able to visually flaunt how much time I've put into the game, because God knows I am never gonna get the golden big shot badge. The amiibo outfits are so stinking cute, and damn right they better be. Those Raiders amiibos are so expensive. Literally the most expensive Splatoon amiibos, and don't get me wrong, they look nice, but also oof, ouch. It would be nice if we got something other than just the clothes for owning the amiibo, but knowing Splatoon, it's just gonna be the clothes. Also, it's a bit of a shame that there's only one outfit you get from other Splatoon amiibos. Am I sad I don't get to represent my perfect lesbian idols with a cute little outfit? Perhaps. But also the outfit you do get is, well, I don't know, it's a bit disappointing. I get that it's the original Salmon Run work uniform and it's a fun little tribute, a nice way to honor how far Salmon Run has come, but also it's so ugly. I hope the uniform from 3 comes back, because that's just the superior Salmon Run attire. Oh, I also want to bring up the hairstyles. So far, we've seen 6 styles for both the Inklings and Octolings, plus the one default starting hair. And I just can't get over how fun all these are. Like, look how cute the Decora one is, come on! Now's also as good a time as any to mention just how much I love this natural junk punk aesthetic everything has in Raiders. Literally, everything from the weapons, the gadgets, even the hairstyles have some element of repurposed junk. Like the wires as hair ties, oh, it's just so creative. Though, I do have to say, I wish there were more black-coated hairstyles. Raiders has 2 black hairstyles, the cornrows and the afro puffs, and don't get me wrong, they're super cute and I love them, and they're 100 times better than the ones we got in 3, but this still feels a little limited. These are 2 very safe options. And not to get too into this topic as a whole, but this isn't a Splatoon thing. Games in general just have piss poor options for people with textured hair, and it has been getting better, but it still all feels very safe. The reason I'm bringing this up in the first place is because Splatoon character designers are incredible. If you asked me how to make a hairstyle out of tentacles, I don't think I'd have been able to make even half the amount that has been made for the entire Splatoon franchise, which is why I want to see them play around with black hairstyles more. Like, who thinks of using chains to create a cornrows-inspired look? Who thinks of that? It's brilliant. Textured hair is so incredibly diverse with how you're able to style it and fits right in with the fashion-obsessed culture of Inklings and Octolings. And I found these amazing concepts by an artist called French Fry that just kind of showcases how much is able to be done with the tentacle hairstyles. It really is limitless. So I'm hoping and choosing to believe that more hairstyles unlock as you progress through the game or will be added at a later point. The starting haircut for the mechanic isn't an option in the character creator, yet in some gameplay footage, we can see them with it. So maybe hairstyles will be like the outfits, where you can unlock more through accomplishing in-game tasks. I don't know, I guess I'm just a little sad that it's yet another Splatoon game where I can't get a hairstyle that looks like mine. Holding out hope for Splatoon 4. What else? Oh yeah, mini games are returning. Finally, you can build this arcade machine for your hideout, and so far we've only seen Squid Jump from Splatoon 1, but I'm hoping that the rhythm games from 2 also come back. 3 doesn't really have any mini games other than Table Turf, so maybe a simplified version of Table Turf will make an appearance. Not really sure what the in-game benefits of this will be other than having fun, and there's nothing wrong with just having a low-stakes game mode in your already jam-packed game, but maybe you could use this to get rare items and cosmetics and things, similar to what you do in Xenoblade 2 with Tiger Tiger. But like I said, I would be fine if this is just cute little mini games. It's whatever. We also get a more in-depth look at the multiplayer. Raiders is primarily a single-player focused game, but I'm really glad that you're still going to be able to play with people online. You can set up lobbies with people on your friends list or use call for help to join random raids. This is just Monster Hunter. I can't believe how spoiled I'm getting with this game. Though I do have somewhat mixed feelings on the call for help having a cooldown effect. I'm hoping that's only if you're the one asking for help as opposed to being the one going to help. Maybe this has been implemented so you can't cheese through the story, I don't know. But if there's no cooldown on joining other people's raids, then I can see myself exclusively playing this once I finish the main campaign. Is that it? I think that's it. I think that's everything we know about the game so far. Doesn't it sound good? Doesn't it sound really, really good? Before I end the video, I just want to go over a couple things that I really hope to see from the game. Number 1, level variety. This is the last time I'm going to mention side order, I promise. But after 1 or 2 runs of playing through the whole thing, you've pretty much seen everything the game has to offer, which isn't great considering it's a roguelite. And if Raiders is going to play out anything like side order, which it seems like it's gonna, then every 10 floors on these deep raids, there will be a boss with a bigger boss at the final floor, which I can see being replaced by the seasoned Salmonids and Mystic Salmonids respectively. We've already seen so much in terms of stages and what we're going to be getting from them. It already blows side order out of the water, but I still hope there is enough to keep this game interesting and fresh in the long term. Like, I hope that depending on what island you're on will depend on the types of stage layouts you encounter underground. It would be really sad if a lot of stages just end up being reskins of each other, or there being so few levels that you just keep running into the same one over and over again. Number 2, events. Raiders is a whole game, not a DLC, so I don't want it to feel like a side venture. Splatoon gets Splatfests and Big Run, and I want this to have big events too. If we loop back to the Monster Hunter comparison, I would love if there are siege-type Salmonids that you need to fight with other people. It'd also be really fun if you had to create certain weapon builds exclusively for the sieges, and during this time, maybe you'd encounter more enemies that drop materials for these specific builds you need. Like, maybe this siege-type Salmonid could only be weak to a specific element, or it's really fast, so you have to create a speed tank build. I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas out at this point. What I'm trying to say is, it would be very funny to see a Salmonid version of Elatrion. Number 3, longevity. I don't want this game to plateau. It's very easy for single-player games to do that, especially roguelites or looter shooters. There is such a thin line you need to walk to make those games stay interesting. And I want to be able to put in as many hours to this as I do with regular Salmon Run. And it does seem like there's going to be a lot of content for a completionist like myself, but I hope there's enough for a non-insane person to also keep playing the game past the main story. Because this is the first Splatoon side game, and if it fails and gains a reputation of being boring in the long run, it might be a while before we get another one. And Splatoon has way too much world building to not have more games in it. Speaking of world building, number 4. Salmonid lore. The Salmonids as a species are so fascinating. They have their own culture, art, music, and we've already gotten a look at the in-universe band that will compose the music for the Spiralite Salmonids, but I'm greedy and I want more. Not just from the Sunken Scrolls, I want it to be in your face. I want it to be in the main story. There's an incredible video by Rassicus that goes over all the Salmonid lore we know so far. So if you don't know anything about Salmonid culture, I'd recommend going to watch that, because there is a chance some of it may become relevant in Raiders. Or at least I hope it does. And number 5, Salmonlings. I don't care if it doesn't make sense, I just want them. And that's it. That's everything I think I have to say about Splatoon Raiders. I think when people first saw the trailer for Raiders, they were very concerned that this was just going to be Side Order 2. But fuck, I mentioned Side Order again. But I think having seen everything that the game is gonna have on offer, there is no need to be concerned by that anymore. Raiders looks absolutely incredible. I'm so excited. I've said it a billion times already, but I want this game in my life now. The 23rd needs to be here right now. But for the time being, I am going to return to regular Salmon Run. And if you see someone called Chi that looks like this, that's me. Thank you for letting me get all this off my chest. I really needed this as an outlet. And I appreciate you for getting to the end of the video. It really means a lot to me. I had a lot of fun making this. I've been dealing with a lot lately and got really ill because of it, but my New Year's resolution was to make more videos, so I decided to use this both as a way to talk about something I like and force myself to feel better. And I like to think that it worked. I am feeling a lot better than I did before. If you want to keep supporting me, all my links are in the description. I hope I was good background noise for you. I hope whatever you're drawing is really cool. I know Art Fight is right now. I hope you're getting a lot of art fights. I can't join it right now. But yeah, anyway, I will see everybody in Raiders. I love you. Bye bye.